And the Texas pledge?
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Let us pray. Our Father, we are just so thankful to be able to come together today. I'm especially thankful for the people at this table that help to make good decisions for Hutchinson County. We just remember you in this season of thankfulness and ask that you be with everyone over the holidays and they're traveling, and just watch over everyone and help them to have a great Thanksgiving with their family and friends. We ask that you continue to watch over our military, our first responders. May their holidays be safe and we just pray that you are with us all as we go through the days. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen. Anybody want to speak? Stand up to speak.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is public comment. Anyone have any public comment? If not, we'll move on to our consent agenda. We have a few things on the consent agenda. Does anyone, one thing that I need to add is, and I believe I laid a copy at y'all's table on the consent agenda, is to recognize jail report. And Monica's doing an awesome job at the jail and all of her staff, and we have to congratulate her for a great inspection, passed with flying colors. So no issues to report on that. So, and I meant to get that attached and then I forgot. So that's the only thing I needed to add. Did y'all have any questions about any of the other things that were attached to the consent agenda? Do I hear a motion?
Consent items as presented. No, second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, the first item on the regular agenda is to consider and or approve a request from Judy Flanders, Friends of the Museum Treasurer. Judy, and thank you for being here. It's always good to see you.
I'm here because Hutchinson County owns the McCormick House project. And in 2019, the Friends of the Museum agreed to do a project to try to raise funds for the restoration of that property. Today, we have only $1,700 in contributions, and the projected costs at that time were about $20,000. Who knows what it'll be now, because that's a lot of years ago. I know this is but I just wanted you all to be informed, because this is kind of the end of one administration as far as a director and the beginning of the middle. I feel like we need to just go ahead and close this project out. I don't think, unless someone would come forward with $3 million, that we would ever be. So just wanted to do something about that.
Thank you.
Any questions? I'd be glad to.
I think at the time that we did all that, we did notice some issues over there. And I think at that time that the Commissioners Court approved a new roof. We put a new roof on the McCormick House. So that was a start,
Right.
But then all the rest of the restoration
Your
was,
items on the.
we're going to be.
Materials was like siding and fixing.
Right.
Windows and things like that. And, because it's a historic property, you have to do it according to certain standards. And so, it's too bad that somebody didn't take the initiative to get a grant, but we didn't. We're all volunteers.
Sure.
So just want to inform you that I think we'll probably vote at our January meeting to close out that account and return the money to the donors.
Okay. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Judy.
you.
Appreciate you. All right, the next item on the agenda is to consider and or approve the resignation of Hannah Connor, our ag extension agent. So you all saw but no, it was really just Wives. So y'all received a copy of her resignation letter. We are sad to see Hannah go, but certainly understand that she needs to spend time at home. And she has said that she will still plan to be a volunteer with the 4-H and the ag projects. So we'll be looking for someone new. So do I hear a motion to approve her resignation?
Move to approve the resignation of Hannah Clark, extension agent. A second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, item 3 is to consider and or approve the resolution of support for the motor fuels tax exemption for counties. I don't know if y'all have been on your listserv and seen this. It's been all over the judge's listserv. I'm assuming the commissioners also. But this is to just hopefully the legislature will add in the counties to this and allow us to be exempt from that motor fuels exemption tax. So do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the resolution of support from the motor fuel tax exemption for counties.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Item 4 is to consider and or approve opting into the Kroger opioid settlement. Having a hard time saying it. So I did send this, they sent this information to both myself and to Craig Jones, our county attorney, and he has reviewed it all and agreed. We've opted into a few other settlements. I think y'all remember those. And this is a completely separate
Okay. That was the
settlement.
question I was gonna ask.
Yes, it is.
Separate from.
It is,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, some of those automatically are lumped together and we don't have to opt into those, but this is a separate one.
Okay.
And so, oh, I'm sorry, you don't have to sign it. If y'all are approved, Craig's fine with it. Just a motion.
Move to approve opting into the Kroger opioid settlement.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? And I printed this out today. I don't know if you had a copy, but I'll give you a copy of this because I'm going to sign this. I'll need it back, but you can keep it for now. Yeah. All right, item 5, consider and or approve the $1,000 bond for April Jones Juvenile Probation Department. Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the $1,000 bond for April Jones in the juvenile department.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. All right, item 6 is to consider and or approve amounts up to $1,000 be exempt from the lame duck policy in line items for employee medical, drug testing, etc., tires, jail supplies, jail equipment effective today through 1/1/25. Andy or Sheriff, did y'all want to say anything to that, or it's just, I think this is just a request so they can do the day-to-day business without having to come to us every time because all of those line items are at the 25%. Correct, Sheriff?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, and it's just from now until, during this lame duck period. So. But it's up to 1,000. Of course, we don't have much time left. So, and we only have 2 meetings left. So I don't know really if it's essentially necessary or, what do y'all think?
Well, technically
Question.
3.
Yes.
Would that be $1,000 per transaction, or would that just be a cumulative of an extra $1,000 over the 25% of the budget?
That's gonna be my question.
Sheriff,
It's action, I would think.
do you have an answer for that?
I don't know what specifically Laura was wanting to get done. I'm not trying to spend anything. I haven't intended to spend anything on it unnecessary. I think what her issue is necessities that need to be done in the week, day-by-day things without having to go and, just request them and then wait.
Right, like get a PO for them or a authorization form before you can actually purchase them when they're essential needs.
The issue that we're into is having to get it approved and having to get it.
When you need it right now.
Yes, ma'am.
I honestly don't see an issue with going ahead and purchasing, like say they blow a tire out and they need to buy a tire. Go ahead and getting that, because the court's gonna approve that. It's not like it's. But then I get why we have the lame duck, because there might be an unauthorized purchase, but what do y'all think?
I mean, it's very odd just because it's a month, 3 weeks.
We have 2 meetings
Yeah,
left.
basically 3 weeks
Mhm.
of work time. To change a policy for 3 weeks seems odd, I guess, because even if they did blow a tire, it's not gonna exceed the $500. If that, and I don't know, in the sheriff's department, that'd be a very expensive tire.
Right.
$100.
Isn't that the lame duck policy?
No.
Oh, it's 25%.
25%.
Of
Yeah.
the budget, and so they've got several line items where they've already spent 25% of the budget.
So
in the first 3
everything,
months.
yeah, everything.
Oh, of
kind
the
of-
entire,
Yeah,
so now
right.
everything's up. I get it.
Everything.
So basically, every transaction that's coming up is over that policy amount.
But that doesn't change, I mean, we still have to approve it at the 2 meetings, so how would that, I mean, it's,
Because usually we don't process them until they're approved.
Right.
And so,
So they wouldn't even be on the bills.
yeah, they wouldn't.
Until we actually-
The lame duck.
oh, yeah, I got you, that makes sense.
But we can go ahead and, we can make it a policy to where we go ahead and
Process them.
process those and then separate them out as part of lame duck, that y'all have a separate.
Kind of like we did at this meeting where there was just the bills for the lame duck that y'all saw
Right.
attached to the agenda.
Yeah, I think that would be fine.
Are y'all fine with that?
I think it's fine.
Okay. All right, then we'll leave it as is and just process those like we'll have a big lump of, if there's bills.
Right.
That'll be attached to your agenda, so you
And if
can,
they're denied, we can just pull the check, because the check don't go out until they're. approved.
until they're actually approved, which I can't imagine them being denied. So. Got that? Okay. All right, item 7 is to consider and or approve reimbursement request for Sarah Price. Sheriff, did you have something on this?
Yeah, so I sent you guys a letter.
All the commissioners got that,
Got
yeah, as well as Sarah's information, yeah.
a letter on that. Seems to be a recurring issue that we're having at the sheriff's office. Couple, not only Sarah, but also with Laura, refusal to reimburse her for travel time going down to conference. The itinerary did state that the conference started at that next day. However, she did have to drive to Corpus Christi, which would have been 11, 12 hours, and then with Houston traffic, it just depends. So, the auditor's office continuously refuses to reimburse her, regardless of the information that we provided and the evidence we provided that she was authorized by the sheriff's office staff and personnel to go down there. And then also, did y'all receive Sarah's letter
Yes,
as well?
everyone got a copy of that.
Okay, also Laura is, also been told that she is going to have to pay money back to the county because she was over reimbursed for a conference that she attended to a month longer than this as well. So I just want my people to get paid for the time they travel down there. It's not unusual for elected officials or personnel to go down the day before to get settled in, to get registered for their conference the day of early registration, the itinerary states. Sometimes it's a hassle to get up 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, drive nonstop all the way down there just to get registered for a conference. I don't see anything out of the ordinary ever since I've been not only a deputy at the sheriff's office from 2017 all the way to, these last couple months as sheriff. We've never had any issues with any of this, so. I just like my people to be taken care of.
And with Sarah and Laura, although today we're just talking about Sarah, was this something that you had authorized for them to do prior?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Any
so-
conferences that they go to. I'm good with it.
So they didn't just say, hey, I'm gonna leave a day early, or you said this, you can leave on this day and. Okay.
Well, so go ahead. So when we wrote the policy for this, we, because we addressed this in our policy during last year, because we did have a little bit of people leaving early or even staying later after the conference is over. And so there was a reason why we put this in here, because not everyone, and I want to be clear, not everybody did it, but there was a couple that we noticed throughout the years that was visiting family after a conference or going down early and taking their spouse with them and having dates, stuff, which is, if you stay within the time frame, that's fine. But, we have a due diligence to our taxpayers not to treat this. So I know you're saying that a lot of people have done that. That's why we wrote a policy last year, so people would stop doing that. And I
Well,
understand.
wasn't necessarily speaking to lots of personnel going down and spending leisure time out there. I understand that that's going to be covered by county expenses. And I wouldn't expect it to. I've gone to conferences and then went and visited family afterwards, and I haven't been reimbursed.
Right.
I don't think it's
Right.
But going down a day before, getting settled in and getting ready to, so I don't have to drive 12, 13 hours on the day of registration and then fight traffic and everything else and risk, getting everything set up. I just don't see an issue with that. And
So when you say day before, what I gather, because we all have, every conference we all go to is early registration. But we don't go to that because we registered either online. And so early registration doesn't really mean anything to us.
well,
But that's the day.
I have to register every time I go to the conference.
It's just packet pickup.
Yeah, but you can do that morning.
Right.
I mean, that's what we all do at our conferences, because every conference we have has that early day thing. But we don't usually, we just pick it up that same morning of the next conference. But anyway, I mean, I know we could get into splitting hairs, but the policy was written because of the somewhat abuse of the system, because we're not enforcers. We're not going to go with people on their conference just to kind of watch what's going on and what they're spending their time doing. I know for a fact that not so much in the county, but there are a lot of people who register for conferences and they don't even go to them because there's not a clock in or clock out at the classes. And so as due diligence, we had to write a policy to make sure that there isn't any abuse of any sort. And so what?
And,
Go ahead.
sorry, and to just add to that, not saying Sarah's abusing that, but that cuts out any gray area. It cuts out the abuse, but it also cuts out the gray area of anybody who's going that's not planning to abuse it, but just goes early. I mean,
Yeah.
because
I think
Yeah, but
the
also.
question here is the distance. This is a Galveston. This isn't Dallas. This isn't
Yeah.
Austin. You gotta go through Houston. You can't make that in no 10 hours. And I think that for me, we've made exceptions to this before, on various things. If it should have come to court, got approved for an extra day, then
Yeah.
that would have been fine. But there again, it should have come to court instead of the auditor telling you, no, it should have been discussed in court.
Yeah.
I think it should have been discussed in court both ways.
Well, there's also. The sheriff's office is a different animal. Because the authority granted to the sheriff, giving his employees to tell them what to do, where they can go. That's constitutionally given to him, separate of county policy. That's why the sheriff's office has their own county policy. We are a separate entity, not specifically underneath every policy that Hutchinson County as a whole has. So that's why we have our separate policies, and we're exempt on a lot of other issues. Because we are a completely different entity under the elected sheriff. as a sheriff's office. So, I mean, if we want to split hairs and go that route, then the sheriff does have authority to tell his employees where to go, when to go. And as long as it's in the budget to be handled and approved later, then there's really no any arguing to do with that. So
That's not accurate, but
I think that the issue, as Ben said, for me, is the amount of time it took to get down there. And, you know,
And I
the
don't-
fact that there probably wasn't another conference closer. 'Cause that-
Okay, when you go to conference, it's a paid day. I mean, you get paid for that day. Okay. When you go to Galveston, you can't do that in a 10-hour day. You can't drive down there, stop for breaks, and you could be 12 hours plus 14 hours time you get there. So if you're having a paid day, are you gonna do comp time for the extra, or are you going to let somebody take an extra day off, or what are you gonna do? But you can't make it in a 10-hour, have a normal work day.
Mhm.
we've had instances where we've had the jailer go down to go do different things, and then they screwed around their own time. They were disciplined and had to pay back for times doing that. So it's not the intent of the people to go down there and screw off.
So I think the issue though is not the travel. The issue is does pre-registration count as the day because there was registration on Tuesday? She could have driven down Monday and still registered Tuesday when the conference started. That's the issue of what we have to decide. Not the distance traveled Sunday for 2 hours on Monday.
So if we're gonna
Pre-register.
go that route, I would request that that I can see everyone else's itinerary for the past 4 years.
You can, that's public information.
Yeah, you can see that.
You can always do that. And I got dogged by her for the last one because I went Sunday, but I'm on a committee on Monday and our conference doesn't start till Tuesday. So it's not her nitpicking your office. It's her doing her job that she was hired by the district judges to do, that all of us are accounted for. And she sent me an email saying the same thing that she sent to you, to Sarah.
I also requested information from Sarah, and the only response that I got was that the sheriff would address the issue in court. So I didn't get the letter from Sarah that y'all got.
So that's what I was gonna say. When she sent me that email, we handled it between us with the justification on that I think regardless what we answer going forward, I know you think that you're on an island on the sheriff's department, but there's some balances in our group that we've all got to work together. When she does her job, we've got to try to work together to resolve it. And it's not anything personal against Sarah. It's not anything personal against your department. She's doing the job she's hired to do. Statutorily, you want to talk about the Constitution, statutorily, she's hired to do it. We've all got to have these discussions and make these decisions, and it's not nitpicking on that. So if you want to look at the conferences and all that stuff, we definitely can do that.
And not to tell war stories, but last year I didn't get compensated for any hotel because I didn't get a folio report. And so I just ate that hotel.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
That's a personal choice.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not,
But I didn't follow policy. And so the
I
county,
rarely ever turn in anything for travel,
I
but
have
that's
to
personal.
interpret
Yeah.
the policies
yeah,
as they're written. And to me, whenever I looked at the agenda, there was registration on Tuesday, there was early registration on Monday, she went down on Sunday. So to me, the conference doesn't start until Tuesday. I would be glad to reimburse whatever. I just need to know what the policy is so that I know how to apply it.
Yeah.
And according to how it was written, it says that social activities don't count, that there's a max of 1 day before. And so to me, it started on Tuesday because that's whenever the session started. There was registration. Had there not been registration on that day and the only registration was early registration, then I would have,
Is it not up to the supervisor to say you can go and register early? I mean, if we're gonna do it that way, then we can just skip going through any of the people that are in authority at the sheriff's office and just make sure everything is approved through the commissioner's court and make sure that the auditor allows us permission to go whenever we're supposed to go. There's no point in going through your supervisors at that point.
Yeah.
And, setting up travel days and doing that, we can just go here and just get everything approved in commissioner's court.
That's why I go back to, there's so many teepees that you have to understand you're not the only one on the island. There's policies that only apply to your sheriff's office. but there's policies that pertain directly to us that we have to make the decision on. And you have to respect that, like we respect your decisions on that side. So it's not one of the things that when we get into office, like each one of us can do whatever we want to do. I mean, this policy is not separate from the other employees. Your other policies are, but this one is directly here that we all got to work together. It's not say, oh, we didn't get our way, so screw it. We're going to bypass all this stuff. It's checks and balances that we all have to work together to try to do the best for the county. And it's not a personal thing. It's not somebody that if they get told no, like Dwight got told no, you don't get personal, you don't get pissed about it that she said no and we said no. We say it's the policy. And that's why I like.
I don't think anyone's pissed up here. I'm not angry whatsoever. I'm just asking.
I'm just saying, if she gets rejected or denied about this, I hope she doesn't take it personal. I wish she is watching.
This is the
Say
first
that,
time
but-
this happened.
Well, what's happened in the past is I know the JPs have come and asked, hey, can we go a day early? I know that because they were helping with setup. And then there was another time that it was just in Amarillo and they come and ask, hey, can we get a hotel? Because the policy says it's in Amarillo, so doesn't warrant a hotel. So we as a court approved those extra days prior to those signups. And so this situation, I think, just might have just fell through the cracks a little bit. And it's not like she's not getting compensated. It's just certain portions of her travel, she's not getting compensated. And in regards to other stuff, like our policy we wrote, again, was not targeting any department. It was just a blanket thing. And as we wrote the policy, we want to make sure, because we all keep track of our travel. And we also had to kick around. So what if they go shop one day and they're driving? Do we pay for that as well? I'm not saying the sheriff's department did that. There's no evidence of that at all. What I'm saying is when we wrote the policy, we did it as a blanket thing. And so, again, it's one day, I think we're kind of, wrestling. And I really,
So we have a policy.
yes.
The problem is not everyone is familiar with the policy. And I
But
mean,
whose
this is
fault
not
is
the
that?
first time,
Yeah.
it's not anyone's fault but the supervisors.
Right.
Yeah.
Because this is the second time in the last 2 months that we've had a request because the individual wasn't familiar enough with the policy. Because we had a request from another elected official because they didn't read the policy first and familiarize themselves with what, I mean, it's easy to get the policy manual and go, okay, yeah.
Sign that
Yeah.
back page and
But we all are guilty of not being familiar with the policies. And so I think that this directly then falls back on the sheriff, and he's got money in his budget to pay for it. He may not next time, but I don't think Sarah should have to pay back when she was told by her supervisor to go. I think the sheriff in this instance should take it out of his budget and remember that in the future, we have a policy and we won't make an exception next time.
Are we,
but my fear is,
So I think our employees, I mean, I'm not gonna be here anymore, obviously, but
Right.
I mean, I
But
guess.
you only have so much money in your line item for training.
Sorry,
was it on the card?
the hotel was put on the card.
Oh, okay.
And so my email to her, if she couldn't provide additional information, I just went ahead and told her that if it wasn't county business if early registration is not considered county business, according to the policy, in my opinion.
Right.
And so I told her that if there was
But that
no
determines
county
on how you
business,
interpret it
then
then.
we wouldn't be able to reimburse her for the meals on Sunday. Because she drove down on Sunday and requested meals, and that the extra day for the hotel would have to be deducted from her personal reimbursement because it was put on a county credit card.
And going forward, before I forget on that, part of that thing that highlighted, it said like after 6 PM arrival, all meals are done. That's when you get back home. That's not arrival at the destination, just so everybody can see that, because that was highlighted, I think, for the Sunday meal reimbursement.
Well,
But
she
that's
didn't charge breakfast that day she left because she didn't leave till 8 o'clock.
right. They
She only
highlighted
charged-
the after 6, but.
Lunch and supper.
well, again, I honestly think isn't about a person. or a department, this is our policy. That's what it rolls back to. So we bend the rule for one, we might as well just say, oh, because I can imagine, not that any person specifically is in my head, but just working in an environment, we say, okay, we'll bend the policy for this because the supervisor didn't understand or no one went over it. Well, golly, I'm going to use that every time.
So
As a human,
I'm not asking that.
not you, but the world.
Things be- That policies have been, but obviously the policy is open to interpretation because that's how she interpreted it. So that's also open to interpretation of how you guys interpret it, whoever else interprets it. It's no difference in any law that's interpreted by whatever judge or whoever. So, I mean, if she interpreted it a certain way and it's always been interpreted another way, but the process is still the same, then we just go upon opinions and how it's interpreted in the case. Am I wrong?
we created this policy to try to help with the interpretation. But if we deny, she's losing out on money if we deny the reimbursement on what
A
aspect?
hotel
The only thing
room
that she would
and meals.
personally be out would be her meal.
Yeah.
Her meal reimbursement, so.
That's what I thought, because the hotel is
whatever
on the
she's
card.
on, Meals on.
So yeah, she's not paying for a hotel room if we say, I mean, she's
It
not,
would be deducted, yeah, the hotel room that was paid on the county card would be deducted from her mileage reimbursement.
So it'd be Sunday.
So it'd be the hotel room and the two meals.
It's like $137 or something.
You know, normally, most any conference any of us go to is not that far.
No, I'm always in.
You go to Dallas,
Right.
or Austin or something, that's not a problem. But when you drive 12 or 14 hours, that would bother me a little bit too.
yeah, but
I
the
do
question's
that,
not that
though.
though. The question is, does the conference start on Tuesday for registration in the first class or pre-registration on Monday? That's
You
the,
gotta drive 14 hours on Monday or.
well, that's the question we have to answer. Like where do we enact that?
And how do you apply our current policy
Right.
to this situation?
That's the question we've got to answer.
It also applies to the incident with Laura. It's also being, and I know.
And I'll address on the Laura, I missed that completely. The day before, it was just registration and then there was some sort of banquet or something.
Like a welcome reception.
And, my office completely missed that one. And so because it's been paid and done, if it's like water under the bridge, then I'm fine with that as well. I didn't know how the policy was gonna come out in this. So I just wanted to give Laura a heads up that it could possibly mean that she would have to reimburse too. Because she's already been reimbursed.
Well, the information I got is that she's been ordered that she's gonna have to take it out. It's gonna have to be paid back.
She was not ordered anything. I told her. I told her that it was a possibility.
While I'm here also, I don't know, Judge, if it's okay to talk about whatever else I addressed.
The what?
In the letter.
I don't think so.
I don't think it's necessary. The issue at hand is Sarah's expenses.
Okay.
So as a court, we're talking interpretation. I mean, things like this help us to interpret our own policies and to make corrections as we need to and to make them more black and white as we go. So it's one of those things that if we need to add, we need to address the pre-registration in our policy. We need to address registration type of situation.
Yes, and then
And then we need to address if,
distance to where if we're over 10 hours, which is your normal workday, and is that up to the supervisor or does that need to come to the court? To allow an extra day if you're
Right.
having to drive over 10 hours,
I mean, if there's a question, then obviously that needs to come to the court prior to it happening.
but that needs to be addressed in the policy.
Can we see the policy, Jerry? Can you throw the?
I think that I may have did I attach?
No, I mean publicly see it. And I've seen it.
It's on page 2 of the
policy committee needs to talk about registration, pre-registration, and also
3.
if
Does that count?
supervisors still,
Pulling that up.
if they're the ones ordering the employees to do it, what's the repercussions on that?
Where's the leeway to say, I'm going 1,000 miles or something, obviously you can't make it in a day.
Well, because we're going to Galveston next year for state, and so
Then
it's gonna
it's gonna have to be addressed then.
Is-
Do you want to drive
And tape it,
And,
Look on
Galveston at
the-
10 o'clock at night?
yeah, their 2025's in Galveston again too, is what it showed. Do you know if that's accurate?
Hotel.
In San Marcos last year,
It's that depending.
Do what?
on income.
right, but I think it was in San Marcos last year and then it shows Galveston for next year. So I don't know how often they're in Galveston. So, I mean, we'll be talking about it again next year possibly, if we don't fix it now.
Well, we need to have policy meeting, so. But probably not before Christmas.
Well, this is the portion of the policy that I applied. Because it states that
Oh, sorry.
states that 1 day lodging before the start, and so
Mhm.
I've applied that if you're not gonna pay lodging, then other travel expenses wouldn't be paid as well.
So if you can't make it there in that day ahead of time in 10 hours, should you be allowed another day or not?
Well, you could always fly. But then again, you gotta weigh those expenses.
Well, if the itinerary says that conference is from one day to the next day, then you should probably differentiate that 1 day that it says that it starts, if it's pre-registration, that it doesn't count. Because it's stated that it started on, for instance, like November 1st through the 3rd. And she showed up the day before the start date, that was listed on the conference dates, on the official itinerary on the conference dates, which included pre-registration. However, she did show up 1 day prior to the start of the conference according to the itinerary. So if you're gonna split that, you need to probably see when, if that first day is counted as pre-registration, and then put that as the 1 day prior to the actual start of the conference. Because if we go by that, then according to the itinerary, it did start on the day she
Yeah,
was.
and I agree with,
Start of the
with
conference.
the sheriff on the actual flyer, it says the dates, and it included that date. And but on the conference schedule that we got, it shows Monday is just a pre-registration day. And I don't care what the policy is, I just need to know how to apply it. And I have to apply it.
And I think ours says the same thing too. I think if it starts, but we only have committee meetings the first day, so it technically doesn't start till the next day of opening ceremony. So I was trying to figure that out.
Well, if somebody's on a committee, then does that count as a early day?
Yeah, because
Or?
You're
or is
actually
that-
working.
Yeah, you're working. Well,
It's not, you're not just socializing.
so. I'm ready. I'm ready when you are.
You're representing Hutchinson County.
I'll just add something.
Yes,
The way it normally works is an employee or sheriff's office, there's a training or a conference comes up, they put in a request for training. It gets approved by supervisor, and once approved by supervisor, it goes to Laura. Laura then takes and schedules hotel stays and drive time and all that. So in defense of Sarah, she was advised, you drive down on Sunday, stay the night, you're extra Monday.
she was just doing what she was told.
So employees are doing what they're told.
Mhm.
I get it.
I agree.
Well, I just want to say, I know Amy's office and Alicia's office always gets blamed for policies that are written in the court, and they become the bad guys because they're the enforcers, if you will. And now some of that, not always, some of that can be their own personalities and things they brought to create too. I get blamed for a lot of stuff too because of my personality. But this is not a, in my opinion, this is not a auditor attack to anybody. This is a policy that maybe as everyone can read it, it's open for interpretation. You made a good point. So I just want to make sure that everyone knows that the auditor's office and the treasurer's
Let's
office.
decide this situation, then let's address the policy.
Right,
And so this don't come up again.
right.
We're beating this to death.
Yeah. But I do want to say it's a team effort and we can fix it. And I know this seems like it's someone against somebody. I think we can just fix it. That's what policies are for. We see an error, we can fix it. That's what's cool about policies.
Well, I don't want to bring this up to just specifically think that I'm being attacked, but I'm also being subject to an out of office audit requesting T-code files and evidence information and stuff from the auditor's office. That is not.
We just said that we're not gonna.
That's a different,
But
that's a different thing, but, on this situation, I can see there's a confusion here, so.
Yes.
I have no problem with what they did.
Yeah.
Let's move on and just fix this in the future though.
So
Because there's gonna be other conferences in Galveston.
Okay, do I hear a motion then?
So our agenda does do that too, so we're gonna be in the same boat too. Like if the 21st technically didn't start in San Marcos, but it's listed like that, like it was listed on theirs, so
Say
yeah.
that again now?
So you know how it said the 28th that it started with pre-registration?
Mm-hmm.
Ours says the 21st of October, and there was nothing there until the next day of the 22nd, so we do have to fix that, whether like what open ceremonies starts. So.
Yeah,
The difference is we don't get paid for that day.
I can see both sides of this. It being
Yeah.
interpreted, maybe you could interpret that either way. So I have no problem with what they did, but let's fix the policy.
I'm ready.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the extension of the extra day for Miss Sarah Price in regards to maybe a misclear understanding of the policy, unclear interpretation of the policy.
Do I hear a second?
So
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
So where is that gonna come out of
Training?
the training budget?
Yeah, he's got a line item for training. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, thanks, Sheriff. And I've written that down when we have our policy meeting. Well, that'll be one we'll look at.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, item 8 is to consider and or approve any ARP grant projects. And the first one we have is Julie. You want to come visit about your ARP projects? So Julie was here previously in regards to the Aspire. Yes. And the the building renovations. Yes. And then the employee salary. Yes, employee salary, yeah. And I don't know, maybe before we speak to those two, we should also take a look on our original agreement with the United Way for the 145,000, which they submit the bills and then we reimburse. I think there was something in that contract that said in September, the agreement shall commence on this date. On the date the agreement has been fully executed by both parties and shall continue until such time as the maximum amount set forth has been reimbursed or September 1. So we missed that. September 1 date came and went, and we didn't get an update. I think we approved 145,000 and Alicia, correct me if I'm wrong, we've expended 125,859.47. So we have not expended all of that. Maybe, I don't know if we need an update or exactly what we need to be in compliance with our agreement. But
I apologize. I thought it was till December 31st, so that's my error. Right
I
now,
didn't look at it either.
yeah, right now for this quarter, it's paying the part-time salaries for 2 of the peer support specialists.
Okay,
And then we are offering a RAP session, which is Wellness Recovery Action Plan, to the first responders, the management first responder people. That's happening December 2nd and 3rd. And so what that is it gives them a plan of action for if they're struggling with something, how they kind of work through those things. And the intent was to let them go through it, and then we're gonna be offering it to the first responders, the firemen, and if they assume the admin people didn't want to go through at the same time as we offered it to the.
So will that be available to our volunteer fire departments too? Okay.
And so expenses for that I was gonna pay for those as well. So that's kind of what my intent was on the money.
Okay, are we thinking that by December 31st, you'll have that whole 145
I'm gonna be
expended?
really close.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a deadline, right? December 31st.
Well,
I'm trying my
we have a
best.
contract.
Yeah.
We do have a contract, but it says September 1.
No,
So that's,
So we need.
Yeah.
we gotta go by.
we need to work
Yeah.
on that.
We may need to update our contract
Okay.
and maybe make that December 31st.
Would appreciate that.
Okay, so anyone have any questions on that part? If not, we'll move on to the two previous ARP requests that we kind of tabled when we were here before. Any updates on those? One was Aspire, a mindful place. It was for the 25 for the people.
For the people.
And then the other one was 75 for the building expenses. Has there been any other process or where are we at with that building reno?
With the building, we're gonna start renovation on it, December 2nd. So the process is beginning. And so y'all suggested to me last time to go before the EDC. And I have done that. And EDC said, you should come before Commissioners Court. So, I'm still in conversation with them. From my understanding of EDC is that they don't typically fund a nonprofit. They can do differently if they so choose to. So there's some conversation in that, and they're trying to figure out if they can help me out in any way possible. And so we're just looking for the money for the renovations. I have grants, writing grants galore. I do have one of my board members, Clark. He is part of Panhandle Behavioral Health Alliance, which is an organization that was created 6 or 7 years ago, I believe. And their challenge was to just improve mental health resources all across the Texas Panhandle. And so he has just been really working with us on what resources we might need here. And so the 75,000 that I'm asking for, we're just helping that process of we purchased a church, the First Presbyterian Church in Borger, and we're just trying to turn it into an office complex of which the church will remain and use the sanctuary and fellowship hall and a couple of other rooms until they're no longer a church. It's a very elderly congregation, and so they'll just use the spaces that they need, and we'll turn the rest of it into an office complex for counseling and peer support services and nurse practitioner with a mental health emphasis so that they can kind of oversee medications. And that is one thing that's lacking here in the community. When I visited with Dr. Holly, he's like, Julie, I can write prescriptions for people, especially like with anxiety and depression, but there's no way I can oversee it. And so this just kind of will benefit our doctors as well as other things as well. So.
Not mention, I believe there's some $94,720 left in ARP. Is that correct?
$94,720.
That hasn't been encumbered already.
Encumbered.
Is there anything left in LATCF?
That includes both.
Oh, okay.
So, I consider Julie not only a friend, but, I love her. I'll just say that openly. But I still worry about us helping, whether it's nonprofit or profit later on, as it transitions into profitable, different insurance and stuff like that. Even if we do have the money, I'm worried that we're not authorized to help a business startup, basically. well, we can help mental health stuff at some level start up. But I just, that's my only concern. And again, I did as much research as I could, but the ARP funds are not really, it's very clear about tax dollars, but ARP funds really not open for what we can or can't do with that in regards to that. So it's more of just my feeling of because it is a need in our community, but it eventually will pay for itself, and hopefully it becomes a business. And even though right now it's starting out as nonprofit, eventually it will become a medical.
It will change any from the start to the finish. It will always be a nonprofit. I think the thing is, should it ever generate enough money that it has excess money, it will just go back into the business. So
Right.
that will just allow us to then offer services to the community. So if someone can't afford for counseling sessions, we would have the opportunity to help provide those sessions free of charge. Or it's just like with the things we're trying to do for the firemen. Once the ARP money is gone, we still want to do these things. It's us having to figure out how to pay it from within the business aspect of it.
Mhm.
So it'll always be a nonprofit because we'll always be looking at how do we service people. But to pay the salaries, there's no way that we can do grants for $1 million to $1.5 million year in and year out, because no one's going to fund us that way. So the only opportunity that we have to be successful is for the revenue stream to come in, but it will never be a revenue stream that will put money in someone's pocket. When I was visiting with Dr. Holly about this, he says, you do realize that there's no money in this business. I said, I do realize that, Dr. Holly. All we're trying to do is make sure that we can provide the services, and to do that, you've got to pay the salaries of the people that you're employing to provide counseling sessions. And like our peer support, they generate no revenue. And so we'll always have to have the money. If the business doesn't make enough money, then we'll always be writing grants to take care of that aspect of the program, of which y'all have helped us with these first 2 years of that.
My thoughts on the 75, which is, it is merely for the Reno project, is that it wouldn't be a whole lot different than the money we expended to other nonprofits to help do, upgrades on their parking lots or whatever. So that's my thought on the 75.
Yeah, but they weren't a profitable nonprofit business hybrid either.
But I agree with Julie, it's not for profit
It's not.
because
It can't.
Well,
it's,
it's a hybrid business, though. You said last time that, within a couple of years, it was going to be a hybrid, like the providers were going to be billing insurance, which would make it a hybrid practice.
They will be billing insurance. That's the only way that this will work.
Right. And so that makes it a hybrid business in the medical world of a nonprofit, is what I'm saying.
It would be, so my mind is taking it as the 75, we're becoming investors
Right.
into this vision. So as an investor, if someone came to me and said, hey, Dwight, would you invest in my business idea? Whether it's beneficial to the community or not, any type of money I have to look at, yes, I'll invest, but I also want a little bit of, I want to know money, finances, where all that is. And you've done well updating us on the peer support and drug court and the relationship within that with the 145 that we said. And so I don't fear that you wouldn't keep us in the loop with all of that, because you've done well with that. Again, and I know we either use it or lose it kind of thing. But I also, it's just a business. It's helping a business, nonprofit or not, it's helping a business. And that's good. We need this business. I just don't know how much buy-in, because responsibility we would have as a court with if we told our citizens, yeah, we'll be a part of this, then we'll need to be a part of it, not just financially, but someone in the county will have to be a part of this, at least for the next year, to ensure that we didn't just hand money and then see how it turns out. Since it's a one-time thing for us, because once this is gone, it's gone.
Right.
We'll talk about, you know, for profit or anything, revenue and profit's two different things. You can generate revenue without turning a profit. But in this case, a little concerned over, what happens with it later on.
Well, if I can, were you done? Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Go ahead.
So in the medical world, like I used to take insurance and that I can make a nonprofit in my chiropractic clinic that adjusts veterans or mental health thing. And then I can be a nonprofit and then ask the county for money on that aspect of, and still make profit off of that. And so that's kind of the different on the revenue. And I don't know if, I mean, I wouldn't, if I came to ask for that, I wouldn't do it. And I'm not saying that's the same thing. I'm just saying in the medical world, the hybrid business nonprofits are built like that.
Yeah, like, generating revenue is fine, but generating profit is a whole different thing, but, I'd have to see something to know that this is gonna be a nonprofit permanently. And that may be there, but I haven't seen it.
I think for me, and you've been here when I've said this before, I mean, mental health is huge to me because I mean, it impacted my life for years, being on antidepressants and all that with anxiety. So it's a huge need. My concern, I have to look as a commissioner, if we give this money, a portion to the money, and then it never gets off the ground and I don't want to say wasted, but we used taxpayer dollars for something that never happened when we can put it into other avenues that might be more beneficial for the county versus a hope that it does get off the ground. So that's what I have to look at as well.
I think at this point, we need to take all of our options, however, what money we got left in ARP and look at all of them and then say what's most logical.
So we do have a business plan and I have gone, the band that works with the EBC, Spencer, I don't know Spencer's last name, I apologize for that kind of comes in and looks at businesses to see how it looks. And so I was visiting with him a couple of weeks ago and he says, Julie, you're one of the few people who've come in. I do actually think your business will get off the ground and that this is something that is sustainable in the community. This will always be a nonprofit. It will always be run by a board of people that will be looking at how do we move forward. The intent of this is to help the community. This is not an intent. You know, the struggle with some of the counselors that are in town is it's very difficult for them to have a business on their own independently. The expenses that come from having your building and your utilities and billing and all of these things in there, they struggle to make a living with that. And so we're hoping that with Aspire, we can help take care of these girls and ladies and just have it to where we can keep them here in the community. The majority of them were raised here and have come back and want to set up business here and raise their families here. And it's a good way for us to keep people in the community as well. We can kind of help meet their needs and keep them here.
I would be more apt to go with the investing in the employees aspect or the counselor aspect than the improvement of the building. Because, I mean, that's what I feel like. I think it would be more advantageous use because it's going to help our community right now. This would be one-on-one paint color and room design and stuff. Although I agree in aesthetics and environment, those are very important as well. But I think I would feel better to look at a constituent in the face and say, we help pay couple months for people to be here till they got their feet under them. I would feel more comfortable with that than, oh yeah, we put that paint color in.
Right.
Or we help with that office remodel. I think I would feel better investing the money that we might lose at the end of December in helping people than maybe the facility at this point. And that's just my opinion.
And we can do that. We're asking for money for everything because we also need some startup expenses, knowing that it's gonna take us a little bit of time. So the majority of the grants that we're writing it's for the building, but it's also for some startup expenses.
Yeah.
So we're looking at the whole broad spectrum of how do we get this done?
And I agree with Ben. I think we need to see, I mean, we only have 3 more meetings that we have to earmark the stuff. So I think, well, counting today.
Oh.
Today and the next 2. So 2 or 3, that's still not many, but,
Interpretation.
right. So I think, we need to see kind of what we have. The good benefit about this one is, you have a lot of avenues of funding potentially out there and you are bringing in good dollars. Some of these projects, it's the only source to get it done is through taxpayer money. And so I think we do need to kind of see what all needs to be
I
done.
think we need to look at all of them before we
See what's left.
on any, at this point, we're running out of money in AOP.
Right.
So there's not enough to go around everything. And so.
Okay, so what I'm hearing then is that hopefully we'll keep it on the table, but look at everything else that's been submitted, because we do have other projects and we only have certain amount of resources that we can divide it all up. So it's not completely no, we'll keep it on the table, and once we figure out, how, with all the other projects that we've got.
And that's for the 75. Is the 25 a good?
We'll keep them both on the table.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay.
Are y'all good with that?
I would just
I'm fine with keeping.
take a look at everything.
Yeah, I'm fine with keeping those on the table and redoing that contract for the rest of it to approve at the next meeting.
Yeah, I've got that. I've got myself a note to update that contract.
Or discuss it.
I'll email it to you.
Yeah.
I think we're good.
Okay.
Okay,
All right. Well, thank you.
thank you, Julie. So we do have one other ARP project, but based on the decision we just made, do y'all want to hear it? You want to hear the project and then,
I think we need, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, here is amended.
Right, okay. All right, the only other ARP project we have is for some remodel at the sheriff's department.
That ARP app I saw was blank.
To see attached and they had.
Yeah. There was a whole bunch of,
I saw that.
this was all the attachment, but the actual information on the application
Total
was
project. Well,
was basically just
Too much to put in the little boxes, so
Oh.
it's built in that back page.
oh, okay. You was, let's see the total on that.
There just wasn't enough room in there. So over the last couple of weeks, I've been working with the sheriff's office. I'm trying to do a kind of a safety or security vestibule at the front of the department. This is actually back when I worked at the sheriff's office. First time, this was something that was always talked about, how it's set up and keeping that, some restrictive access to the department. Currently, there's, when you walk into the department, I don't know if you have that in front of you with some of the pictures.
yes, they should have it off.
When you walk into the department, you see how when you go past that first entry, that you have complete access into the department right there. There's all the way back to records in the back. There's no restrictive access in any way. But when they come up there, when somebody comes into the door, they can, there is a doorbell out front that you hit the button, but then you can see a picture of them, but you can't see any demeanor or anything about them other than just seeing a person out there. So you let them in. And then once they come in, they'll usually ask for whatever they're needing from one of the ladies that's working in the office. So what this is looking at doing is it's providing or putting in a restricted access wall. When you come in, there'll be a window to the left, the main big picture window to the left, kind of framing that in to make it a smaller point of entry for communication, and then a door before you actually make it into the sheriff's office, so you can restrict that access right there at the front window. I know we've had several projects like this in the past, the county attorney's office, the JP's office, and adult probation. They all went a similar direction. The first idea with this was restrictive access, just to keep people right there in that area where they're not roaming around the sheriff's office. I was even up there the other day. The waiting area up at the sheriff's office is in that main hallway, and there's a couple of chairs that are right there. They're waiting for the deputy handling their situation to come up. They were there with a couple of kids. The kids are running all around the apartment, kind of running in and out of offices. There's things in those offices that people don't need access to. They don't need. There needs to be some restriction to that, but obviously the safety aspect of it, keeping it isolated for individuals. When the deputy comes up, they can go into on that one of those pictures, you see the first office would be more of a kind of a interviewer waiting room for everybody, so they can actually go in there and communicate with the individuals instead of bringing them back into the central location of the sheriff's office. All that being said, I did provide some of the quotes. Did y'all get those on there?
Yeah, they were all attached.
So a couple of options on the quotes there. I'm kind of glad I threw some of the cheaper ones in there. So we first looked at restrictive access. You see on that, I think it's the A and C flooring quote. That was the cheapest quote that came in, but that was only the door. And it was just the door and a wall. Had nothing to do with that. If you look at the CGC quote, that one had a couple of other options on there. Those are the same ones that did the county attorney.
JP.
And they're about to start that other remodel in the department. So there was two quotes that they provided. One was the bullet resistant stuff, just like they did everything else. So they wrote a quote for that, but then I did talk to Alicia and talking about when we're adding the wall. They looked at the quote and it was $21,500, so I put it over the $20,000 mark, which means the engineer situation. Is that correct? Yes. So they provided a different quote that would put in the bulletproof window, and then it would build the wall in just as a normal wall. And that brought the price down to, I believe it was 14,000. So it was.
Was it 13,000 or 26?
Yeah, there's one that was
14,500.
Oh. Oh, I see.
So, and then so you get kind of a half and half, not bulletproof all the way around, and it's really bulletproof on the window portion. And then you have, or your other quote, that one right there was also specifically just a wall and that was through Mesnick Construction. It was just a wall, not bullet resistant, but the window itself was bullet resistant. So, a couple of different options. The Mesnick was 16,000.
390.
Yeah. So a couple of different options in there for how the project, we could accept the project to kind of go less to the most. Obviously, the 21,000 one bullet resistant all the way around took it higher than the amount, so we would have to, if that one was the case, to I guess the engineer to sign off. Outside of that,
You guys have questions for Jerry?
So this project, the whole project that you were to do, what's the total on it that you would propose?
So if I'm going back to just thinking of what I was trying to accomplish, the overall objective would probably be the restrictive access. I mean, obviously I like to have a bulletproof all the way around. I don't think in this case it's probably going to be doable because we're going to have 30% on top of that for an engineer. I think it's going to be. I would look at probably the construction on this one, just because of the overall cost. It gets the overall objective accomplished, plus it's bullet resistant opening or window frame. It's cheaper. Less overall cheaper on the total price.
I'm looking at the
So you're-
two on this,
Right.
16,390.
So I said, it's the objective that I was trying to do, but adds the bullet resistant for a lesser price. But when y'all look at things like this, when, I mean, you've dealt with the CEGC and they've done numerous jobs up at the office, so also something to consider when you're doing your checklist on people that we've used before and how well they've done. So I've not used Mesna Construction. I don't know anything about them other than their quote.
Did a good job. There's not many places where you can get that done. No,
Yeah. That was,
that way.
and he was talking about ordering, having to order the glass. I said, I have not seen his work. We've seen his work. We've seen the CGC contractor's work, not seen his work. So when it comes to the installation of bulletproof glass, I don't know what that consists of.
Where would that officer go that was in that office there?
As far as, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, there's an office right next to it that's available.
Oh, okay, okay.
We just make that, you know, a little interview room / waiting area.
Oh, yeah.
You saying you're required engineer for over 20,000?
Statute says.
Where is that statute at? I was trying to look that up.
Or the 20,000 unless it's electrical or,
I'm sorry,
you'd like to show me that statute?
in the Texas Occupations Code.
You had to use an engineer for the JP's office.
Yeah, but is that the one that had the electrical plug to move?
Well, no, they wanted to.
Electrical or either electrical or mechanical engineering is over $8,000 and any other kind of engineering is $20,000.
Do you have the code number?
I just, if that was the case, to achieve the objective, to add whatever that cost of an engineer on top of it, it's just not gonna be. I don't see it that way. I wouldn't want to throw another 30.
Gary, when you did the JP and you had to get the engineer, wasn't that part of the company that was doing that they used an internal engineer or no?
No, we had to get an engineer besides them.
Oh,
And at first, they didn't want to work with an engineer. They said, you need an architect
Right.
or you need an engineer, but it cost us $5,000 extra
oh, just to have the engineer.
just to have them put in a wall. It wasn't a support wall. And didn't matter. They had to do the engineering for it.
So it is roughly correct and about 25 to 30% higher just to engineer to that equation.
I think 30% is pretty much rule of thumb.
My thought on that is, I mean, besides the fact of that having to get an engineer, if you're gonna do it, it needs to be done right. And that means a bulletproof wall as well as a window, because it's kind of pointless to put a bulletproof window in when they can just shoot right through the wall.
Yeah, I mean, the overall, like I said, objective was restrictive access.
Yeah, absolutely.
Making entry in. Like I said, everybody else went with the bullet resistant, and then CDC also said he's given a little bit of a price break on that because there were some panels left over from the county attorney's office.
Mhm.
And he was able to kind of get that price. That's where he said he got it down to like 25, which is.
Let's say engineers have really good lobbyists.
Yeah.
Companies.
And then it's occupation code 1001. And if you look down over. There's an exemption to the engineering code for public works. As the following work is exempt from this chapter, if a public work that involves electrical or mechanical engineering for the completed project is 8,000 or less, a public work that does not involve electrical, mechanical engineering, if the completed project is 20,000 or less. Basically, if it's structural, civil, something like that, and under 20, it's exempt from the engineering code.
We needed a button to open the door. They're taking operate from their desk. So that was electrical.
You also have to take into consideration the liability of doing these kind of things. So you put up a wall that's, or, do plumbing work or do electrical work that fails and hurts someone, the liability that you have opened up to the county, that's where it kind of comes into play. Do I agree with the statute? No, but it's there.
Right.
At least I don't agree with the amounts of the statute.
As far as and electrical or anything, it wouldn't be the 20,000 because there's no electrical or anything that's gonna be added. It's just the wall and the window. Yeah, still.
Cause y'all have to have something to buzz them in to open the door, right?
So the front portion would be the same. The back portion was just gonna be a regular door, with a like a push lock on it. They can exit, but they can't enter kind of thing,
Oh,
unless you have a key.
so they just have to come around and open the door.
Just keeping it strictly mechanical, nothing fancy electrical or anything like that. That way you don't have to run power into the wall and all that stuff, so.
Makes a difference.
All right, do y'all wanna put this on the pile of to be considered?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So your recommendation is to go with,
Overall cost, I'm gonna get the biggest bang for the buck out of Mesnick Construction. If you're looking at the cost.
the
have not-
16,390, I think it was. Is that right?
So it kind of just makes you nervous a little bit because I mean, we have a company we've used numerous times. They did a good job. But
They do good work.
So the 14.5 quote from CGC is not the same as the Mesnick quote? Cause it
I
says
have that one.
provide and install new bullet resistant entry to include level 3 bullet resistant wall panels and door frame. But that doesn't include the window?
The window was not included.
Oh. And so with the window, then it bumps it up to the 21.
21.5.
So you really get to pick and choose which one you want on this side, or you can do all or just a one.
I think if I can mention, when we decide this, I think we should probably go into executive session to talk about.
Right, I do too,
Tonight.
because I don't think everybody needs to know what is bullet resistant and what is not. So. Okay. All right, while we're still on the ARP line item, even though we don't have any more projects, are you guys okay with me sending an email out to our electeds and supervisors that if they've got any ARP projects, they need to be to the court by a certain date? So we know that after that date, there's not going to be any more projects that, oh, I forgot. And then we have to consider that in our big pile of dwindling money. And so
We've only got a month left.
we do, yes.
So.
We're gonna have to make a decision before our next commissioners court meeting.
They've had 3 years.
Well, we.
Thing is-
Too,
Yeah.
you sent this out didn't we send this out to the department?
I don't know,
Okay.
but, yeah, there's some more projects we could do for sure, but you gotta go out, you gotta get bids, you gotta get all this done by the end of the month. So to have them, if you send this out and you say you need this in a week, it's not gonna happen. You got till the end of December.
If you could request everybody have their projects in by the first commissioners court of December.
Yeah,
Well, if you send that out, notice that now, it's not gonna happen. You ain't got time to get all your bids in by the first commissioners court in December.
Getting a bid for 2 months and I can get 3 people.
So,
I agree, Judge. I think we need to say the first meeting in December is our last ARP fund.
And then something else.
Emergency.
I got with Craig Jones to kind of hammer out what is gonna be considered obligated and what's not
Right.
considered obligated.
We have to have a contract, right?
He did point, well, but he did point out another option that they put in their FAQs about interagency contracts. And I was assuming that that was like between us and another government. There is in the documentation, it talks about interagency agreements between departments. And so if Ben, he says, well, I have this one other project and I don't know exactly how much it's gonna be, but it's gonna be about $25,000. Then we could do this agreement that Craig, drew up, dedicating that 25,000 to him. But, so say he goes out and gets his bids after the first of the year and it only comes out to 15,000, that 5,000 can't be applied to anywhere else.
But if you're over, I guess you
If
could
you're
just take that out of
over,
your
then
budget.
yeah, it would have to come out of your.
We could,
Fine.
yeah, take it out of contingency or something.
Rather stay
And
away
so
from
that
that.
way, it would make more sense for people to get their ideas on paper.
Yeah,
or-
they've had years to get their ideas on paper.
Well, I mean, if they know the state, like if he's got something he knows is in the works and he's still working on getting bids, but he doesn't have the bids just yet. That way, because we've got to have a cutoff date.
Yes, we do.
Because otherwise, you may get one on that very last day and be like, oh, dang.
Yeah, so then,
And this was a great project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should have saved our money.
and then you obligate that and there's 20,000 that you can't use anywhere else, then you have to send it back, right? Say he got a 25,000 agreement, it was 5,000, that 20,000 can't be used anywhere else, we gotta
No.
send it back. Yeah, I don't like that.
Well, he can't just ask me, he would need to say,
Well,
Right, but
I'm
that's
just
still,
requesting X amount of dollars. He could say.
I don't have a problem with what she's saying because you may go, more than likely go over, not under, so you may have to take some out of your budget. You better make sure you have the money to come back.
I think
It's
we'll
not gonna be
be,
something where he says, I'm gonna buy a bottle of Coke, but I want $25,000, you know?
right.
It has to be,
It has to be just,
right,
I think we're gonna be butting up against the 95 anyway, regardless, because about 20 with that, if we do the 25,000 just on the minimum thing with the work, the extra, the first worker thing that they there, and then in the library, I mean, that's 70 right there.
How much did you have in the library?
And I've contacted, so, and that's the thing, I thought I was gonna have the thing for this week, but I've got one contractor, they don't wanna bid it out 4 months ahead with like spring, because they don't wanna do that stuck at work in spring. But it's not any more than 20. The lowest I've got is around
Well,
that.
across the street, we also got the flooring to do, which is 38,000 probably, somewhere in there.
See, we're gonna be butting up against it.
And then
Project.
before we do any parking over there, got to put the lights up. Well, that's got to be engineered, so
Right,
time you get the engineer and get that done, that's probably just gonna be paid out of the budget. Because I
general,
can't get that done by then.
right.
If you want everything in a couple of weeks, it ain't gonna happen. Might have it by the end of December, but not gonna have it first commissioner meeting in December, so you could get it. Can't get it engineered back quick. So the flooring, we won't be ready for it for a few months. It was my understanding that this, the projects have to be committed, but not done till the end of 26. What Lisa said the other day was, well, the flooring, if we approve it, it may not be done till spring, time we get everything ready. Flooring's the last thing to be put in.
Right.
with
So-
this, you
Yeah.
could commit those funds.
So you're saying if we said,
Yeah, after speaking with Craig, we could commit those funds with one of the interagency agreements.
without bids, I mean, we could bid it now, but that bid may not be good in 4 or 5 months now. So,
Well, don't you think it'd be close, though?
It shouldn't be too
Yes.
bad. I mean,
so
it's
you're saying we could do it.
a lot of months away though.
So make sure you stay
Let me read the.
under,
email
not
that
go over.
Craig sent.
But the discussion we had last time was you thought that they'd have a problem with it because we're committing it now and then we won't do it for 4 or 5 months. But if that's no problem, yeah, we'll need the floor, but
It's where the county is dealing with an agency associated with the county or a county elected official. The agreement that he drafted qualifies as an interagency agreement which satisfies the rules. It's for purposes of funds pledged to independent third parties, but unspent, a purchase order would suffice. Whether it's for, specific goods or services, it has to be specifically defined by a scope of work. So I understand that that would mean if you said, okay, well, I've got a bid for $7,000 to remove the flooring. Then we could obligate those with an interagency.
Like, we're gonna obligate 7,000 to Ben's project.
Yes. And so you get your project done in May and it comes back as 8,000, well, you've only got 7,000 to pay for it. Or if it comes back as 5,000,
You have to give that back.
then
Yeah.
we would
It's
switch
better to be
that.
under than over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a great
It-
way to go about that. Just make sure you're under, not over.
Yeah, you have to pay a little bit out of your budget, that's fine.
Yes,
If I
absolutely.
do that, then I have to give it back.
Yes,
But the thing is, to commit the money, what I'm asking is, if we go out for, say we're gonna go get 3 bids on this. And you go get those 3 bids now, you're gonna have to rebid them again in 5 months from now. Those bids won't be good.
Right.
But if we get one, say we get one bid to get a dollar figure, we could do that. Okay. And then,
Unless it's over 50,000.
yeah. That, yeah, we,
That's well,
That's- we are aware of that, but
other
we could
person-
take one bid, go ahead and commit it for maybe 5 months from now, or I don't know how long it's gonna be. That'd be the last thing to go in the building.
So any and all in by the first meeting of December.
I think we're gonna have to,
I like it.
or at least a
How many
proposed
meetings we got left?
two.
Just 2.
3 counting today. That's what it is.
Okay, so ARP projects by December 1. Or
My first meeting in
first meeting in December. As much information as you could provide with estimates on costs.
And Judge, I will give you, a copy of his agreement that Craig Jones, drew up so that whenever they need to fill that out as well as the application, or maybe y'all want that in a, instead of this original application that we've been using, because it has a place for you to sign as well as whoever is applying for those.
Okay, can you just email that to me?
Yes.
Okay, all right, great. All right, Gary, did you have something on ARP? Didn't you
No.
have a couple of change orders?
Yeah, I've got, oh yeah, that's right. I've got the change orders for, we forgot about the, painting the doors, and the door facings. Some of them need to be painted on the inside and out, some of them.
At the annex?
Yeah.
The remodel of, or the redo of the annex?
And then we also forgot about, I thought it was included, but it wasn't. When we got with them, found out the copy room, which goes right before the adult probation, back in that hallway, we didn't get that. So that, and then the painting needs to be added. Painting.
Is it just the flooring in that part?
Yeah, just the flooring in that part. I don't think we, I'm not sure if we added the texture in there or not. I don't think so. But anyway, it's $2,000 more, I know, for the painting. The flooring, I hadn't heard back from them yet. But I'll get a hold of them. So what do I need to do to add that $2,000 plus the flooring? Can we put an add on?
Request a change order, is that's what we did?
Is that the $2,000, do y'all want that change order to be paid out of ARP funds, or do you want it to be paid out of his? Maintenance budget, actually.
Last time we did that, we paid it out of ARP, right, Ben?
Yeah, I did.
It was on the shades, the blinds.
Well,
I mean, it was originally an ARP project.
Right,
I did a change order on the shades, did one on the roof over too.
right.
Some lumber at that.
So I think if you could get a change order request in to use those ARP funds,
Okay,
make sure everything's in.
okay.
Did you make a form for that yet? So I don't think you have a change order.
Change order, no. You can just resubmit another application.
Just do another application.
for the additional amount. And then I'll just do it as a, whenever y'all approve.
I was about to say, you can't do a change order if you add a room or that's not really a change order. But again, I know I get caught
It's
up.
all the
in
same
semantics.
project.
Okay,
And so
And we-
Unforeseen circumstances. to a
We
project.
thought it was included, but it wasn't. That's all it was. And then we didn't think about the doors.
Change orders for stuff that you couldn't see beforehand.
all right, anything else on ARP? All right, let's move on then. Item 9, consider and or approve burn ban or rescind the burn ban. Jerry, where are we at?
Currently at 27 on our drought index.
Whoa, look at us.
Doing pretty good.
Yeah,
No,
thank you. All right, item 10, consider and or approve request for use of the club rooms at the Borger Library or Fritz.
I don't have anything new.
I think I have some. I approve those.
Oh, so no new ones?
I think some came in afterwards. I don't know if we already talked about them, but I approved the 2 that was on there, but I can't remember what we talked about last time.
Item 11, consider and or approve line item changes, transfers and or budget amendments.
I have one budget amendment for the donations that were received for the county or for the library. The budget amendment to add that into the revenue and also into their books line item. For 22 requests and just some line item transfers for the ARP projects that were approved and one for the Senate annex.
Hey, do I hear a motion?
Move to approve the line item changes, transfers, or budget amendments as presented.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, item 12, consider and or approve advertising, opening, accepting or awarding bids. We don't have anything, right? I didn't see anything attached. Okay. Item 13, consider and or approve donations to Hutchinson County. None. Item 14, discussion of county judges and commissioners precinct daily operations. Anything?
Museum, I guess they're done with the cameras. I got the bill. I haven't walked to see, but they're all installed. They didn't have to run new wiring cables or anything like that. That's all. I've got.
The paving projects complete.
This right out here in front of the steps, is it gonna stay like that? It's so rough.
Well, they took those rough places out and then replaced the holes, and then you need to wait about 3 or 4 months to seal that.
Oh, okay.
Then you don't put sealer over
Okay.
fresh asphalt.
All right,
So
gotcha.
About spring was reseal that little spot there in front of the steps.
Okay,
And same way across the street also, the new paving, all the new paving over there, it will get sealed about March, April, somewhere along in there. But that'll come out of budget now.
Well, I am working with Moore County as far as getting and Dwayne, getting all the final mowing done around. It got wet, so we kind of had to stop, but citizens, of course, with the fires are a little one last mow before and so Moore County is gonna help with the Double Diamond, which is their county. I'm not saying help, but take care of Moore County over in Double Diamond area. And then Dwayne, I talked to them and they're gonna hit all the mowing in the next 2 weeks to get everything mowed up for the winter season. What they said, so.
Not Laura's.
Yeah.
all right, couple of dates to put on your calendar if you don't already have them. December the 2nd, that's the first Monday in December, is our annual lighting at the courthouse. That'll start around 6:30-ish.
Oh, that's next Monday.
That is Monday, Monday the 2nd, yes. And Eddie has been furiously working on getting Christmas lights up, and so we are thankful for him. And then Tuesday, December the 10th is our county appreciation dinner. So if you have not RSVP'd to Siobhan and you plan to attend, please let her know. And those are the only 2 things I have on my calendar. Anything else? Okay. Item 15, consider and or approve sale of struck off tax properties or tax deeds. I did not have any. So item 16, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion and second, any discussion? All in favor? Meeting adjourned at 11:05.